The red dust storm blew hard against the colony dome. Outside, the temperature had dropped below freezing, and the winds howled like angry wolves. Mira wrapped her old coat tighter around her shoulders as she walked back from the food processing unit. Her feet were tired, her hands were numb, and all she wanted was to reach home and hug her son Tom. Mira had lived on Mars for almost 5 years. After her husband died during a mining accident, she raised Tom alone. Life was hard. The colony paid workers just enough to survive. Most nights, Mira skipped meals so Tom could eat. But she never complained. She was strong, and she loved her son more than anything. Tonight, the storm was worse than usual. As she passed the edge of the dome, near the outer gate, she saw something strange. A figure was lying in the dust, barely moving. At first, she thought it was a broken robot or discarded equipment. But when she got closer, she saw it was a man. His clothes were torn, face covered in red dust, and his hands were shaking from the cold. Mira looked around. There were no patrols, no help nearby. The colony didn't care much about people who collapsed outside. They were considered waste of resources. But Mira couldn't leave him there. She touched his shoulder gently. "Hey, can you hear me?" The man groaned, eyes half open. He looked confused, like he didn't know where he was. Mira hesitated for a moment, then made her decision. She grabbed his arm and slowly pulled him toward her small home at the edge of the dome. It took all her strength to drag him inside. Her house was tiny, just one bedroom, a kitchen corner, and a thin metal roof that made noise during storms. Tom was already asleep, curled up under a thermal blanket. Mira laid the stranger on the floor near the heater and gave him water. He drank slowly, still shivering. His voice was low. "Thank you," Mira nodded. "You're lucky I found you. What's your name?" He paused. "Daniel." "All right, Daniel. Try to rest. You're safe now." She gave him an extra blanket and sat near the heater, watching him carefully. He looked like he had been through something terrible. His boots were old, his jacket not made for Mars. Who was he? A lost traveler? A drifter from one of the failed colonies? But he didn't look like a poor man. His skin was clean under the dust, and his voice had calmness like someone used to giving orders. The next morning, the storm was still blowing, but inside the house, things were calm. Tom woke up first and stared at the man on the floor. "Mama." "Who's that?" Mira smiled. "He's someone who needed help." "Be kind." Daniel slowly sat up, his eyes clearer now. "I'm sorry for the trouble. I didn't mean to cause worry." Mira handed him a bowl of hot soup. "Eat this. Then tell me what happened." Daniel took the soup and sipped it slowly. "My transport shuttle crashed in the wastelands. I walked for many days. I didn't think I would make it." Mira frowned. "You came from the wastelands?" "That's impossible without gear." He nodded. "It wasn't easy. I lost everything." Mira didn't ask more. She didn't want to pressure him, but inside her mind was full of questions. The colony hadn't reported any crash. Who was he really? Later that day, Mira went to work again. Before leaving, she warned Tom not to bother the guests too much, but Tom was curious. After she left, he brought out his old broken drone. "This doesn't fly anymore. Mama said we don't have parts." Daniel smiled and took the drone. "Let me see." In less than an hour, he had fixed it. Not only did it fly, it also had better sensors and a longer battery life. When Mira came home, she found Tom running around the small room, laughing as the drone followed him. "Daniel fixed it." Tom shouted. "Look." Mira was shocked. "How?" "Did you?" Daniel stood up slowly. "Just a few adjustments. I used old wires and parts from the heater fan." "I hope you don't mind." Mira stared at him. "That wasn't a normal repair. Only trained engineers or advanced technicians could upgrade like that." But he looked so calm, so normal. "Where did you learn to do that?" she asked. Daniel shrugged. I used to work with systems and machines, long time ago. That night, while Tom slept, Mira sat alone with Daniel. You're not just some lost traveler, she said quietly. Daniel didn't deny it. He looked into her eyes. No, I'm not. Then who are you? He was silent for a long time. Then he said, someone who used to have power and lost it. Someone who wants to see what real life is like before trying to fix it. Mira didn't understand what he meant, but she didn't ask more. Something in his voice told her he had been through pain, just like her. You can stay for a few days, she said softly. But don't bring trouble to my home, Daniel smiled. I would never. Outside, the storm still raged. But inside Mira's small home, something had changed. A stranger had entered her life, bringing mystery and calm. She had no idea that the man sleeping on her floor would soon change everything, not just for her, but for all of Mars. Because Daniel wasn't just anyone. He was the CEO, and everything was about to begin. The next morning came with a soft red light filling the sky. The storm had finally passed, leaving behind dust-covered windows and a cold silence. Mira got up early. Her body was tired, but her mind was busy. She still didn't know who Daniel really was, but something about him didn't feel dangerous. Strange, yes, but not dangerous. She made breakfast. Warm grain cakes and sweet root tea. Tom sat at the table, playing with his flying drone. The little machine buzzed around happily, stopping and spinning when Tom clapped. Daniel came out of the sleeping corner and smiled. That thing's still flying? Tom grinned. Better than ever. Want to see it do a backflip? Daniel nodded, watching closely as the drone flipped in the air and landed perfectly on the table. Mira handed him a cup of tea. You fixed it like a pro. Are you an engineer? Daniel took the cup. Something like that. I've worked with machines for a long time. Where? Mira asked carefully. He paused. Different places, Earth mostly. Mira raised an eyebrow. Not many from Earth walk across the Martian wastelands. Daniel chuckled. I wasn't planning to. But sometimes, life takes a strange turn. After breakfast, Mira had to return to work. She was worried about leaving Tom alone with Daniel, but she had no choice. Missing a shift meant losing her food credits. Tom, behave, she said, kissing his forehead. Daniel, thanks again for everything. I'll keep an eye on him, Daniel replied calmly. While Myra was at the food unit, sorting protein packs and checking rations, Daniel explored the house. It was small but full of life. On the walls were drawings. Tom had made pictures of rockets, stars, and smiling robots. On the shelf was a cracked photo of Mira with her husband. Back when life seemed hopeful. Daniel picked up the photo and stared at it for a long time. He remembered a time when he had a family too. A life full of decisions, deadlines, and screens. But that world was far behind now. Tom came over and said, Want to see something cool? Daniel nodded, always. Tom pulled out an old colony map. Mama says this part of the dome is closed. Too dangerous, but I think there's still power lines under it. Daniel leaned over the map. He pointed at a few marks. These aren't just old wires. This used to be a backup AI hub. Tom blinked. What's an AI hub? It's like a brain for machines. It tells them what to do. Tom's eyes widened. Can you make it work? Daniel smiled. Maybe. That evening, Mira returned home, dusty and tired. She was surprised to find the small heater fan repaired, the broken lights glowing, and even the leaky water pipe fixed. You did all this? She asked. Daniel nodded. Tom helped. She turned to her son. You helped fix the water pipe? Tom beamed. Daniel showed me how. He knows everything. Mira looked at Daniel, confused and curious. She wanted to ask more, but Daniel stood and changed the subject. I've been thinking, he said. This colony is running on old systems. Half the machines are broken, and the AI is years out of date. How does anyone get anything done? Mira sighed. We do it ourselves. Fix what we can. Wait for shipments from Earth. And if something breaks, we just live without it. Daniel walked to the window and stared outside. That's no way to live. You deserve better. She folded her arms. People like us don't have choices. The big offices on Earth make the rules. We just survive. Daniel turned and looked her in the eye. What if someone from Earth saw what you lived through, felt it for themselves? Do you think they'd change things? She laughed softly. No one from Earth cares about us. They sit in tall buildings with perfect air and clean water. We're just numbers to them. Daniel said nothing. He simply nodded and returned to his corner. Later that night, Mira couldn't sleep. She sat near the heater, thinking about her hard life, about her son's future, about Daniel. Who was he really? She looked through her drawer, searching for a spare thermal blanket, when she found something unusual: Daniel's ID tag. It had fallen out of his jacket earlier and landed behind the drawer. The screen on it was cracked but still flickering. She tapped the button gently. The words flashed. D. Rayner, CEO, Ares Corporation, Earth Division. Mira's eyes widened. Her heart skipped a beat. CEO of Ares Corporation? That was the company that owned the colony. The one that decided everything on Mars: work hours, food rations, machine repairs. Their CEO had vanished 6 months ago, after a shuttle went missing. Mira stared at the ID tag for a long time. She looked at Daniel, now sleeping peacefully near the wall. She whispered to herself, "Who are you really, Daniel Rayner?" The next day, Mira acted normal. She didn't tell Daniel what she found, but she watched him more closely. He spent the day helping neighbors fix broken solar panels. He gave advice on how to reduce energy loss. He even taught a group of kids how to repair an old satellite dish. People were impressed, and Mira was confused. Why would a CEO hide his name? Why live like a poor man in a broken dome? That night, she sat with him again after Tom went to sleep. You really care about this place, she said softly. Daniel nodded. I do. Why? He looked at her with kind eyes. Because I want to understand what was broken, before I try to fix it. She studied him quietly, then asked, Are you going to leave? He looked up at the stars through the dusty window. Not yet, he said. There's work to do. The red sun rose slowly above the Martian horizon. A thin layer of dust floated in the air, making the morning sky look soft and quiet. Inside her home, Mira stood at the small window, holding Daniel's ID tag in her hand. The letters on the cracked screen were still visible. D. Rayner, CEO, Ares Corporation. She stared at it, thinking deeply. The man sleeping in the corner of her home wasn't just a traveler. He was the head of the very company that controlled her life, her work, her future. A man she should have hated, but she didn't. She felt confused. How could someone so powerful act so humble? She looked at him. He slept peacefully, as if he carried no weight. But Mira knew he carried more than he showed. That morning, she kept the ID tag in her coat pocket. She decided to watch him, to learn more before saying anything. Daniel helped her clean the home. Then he offered to walk with her to the supply station. As they walked through the colony streets, Mira noticed something strange. The people who once walked with heads down, full of worry, now looked curious, hopeful. A small group gathered around Daniel near the power station. Our lights go out every 2 days. One man said. Daniel knelt beside the power box and opened it with care. He explained each step clearly as he rewired the lines. There, he said. Now the flow is balanced. You won't lose power anymore. The man looked amazed. Who taught you all this? Daniel smiled. Long story. Mira watched closely. Every small action Daniel took made a difference. One person at a time, one machine at a time, he was changing something deeper. He was giving people belief. Later that day, Mira and Daniel returned home. Tom was outside playing with two other boys, laughing as their drones raced along the dusty street. Inside, Mira finally decided to speak. "I know who you are," she said. Quietly, Daniel looked up from the table, calm as ever. "You found the tag." She nodded and placed it in front of him. "Why are you here?" she asked. "Why lie?" Daniel didn't panic. He gently picked up the tag and stared at it. His voice was low. "6 months ago, I left Earth on a private shuttle. I wanted to visit Mars quietly, without press, without news. I wanted to see the colonies for myself. We were testing a new shuttle design, but it failed. I crashed far out. In the wastelands, no signal, no rescue." Mira sat down, still watching him carefully. "I walked for weeks," Daniel continued. "No food, no map, just the stars. I didn't think I would survive. Then, in the middle of a storm, you found." Mira asked, "Why not tell anyone you're alive?" Daniel looked out the window. "Because I saw something in this colony I never saw from Earth. Real people, real problems. My office was full of numbers and reports, but I never felt the pain behind those numbers. Now I do." Mira was quiet. Then she said, "You were the reason our rations were cut last year." Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes, I signed that order. I thought it would improve efficiency. But I didn't understand how much it would hurt people." Mira wanted to be angry, but she wasn't, not anymore. She saw the truth in his face, regret, and a desire to fix what he had broken. The next day, Daniel called a secret meeting at Mira's home. He invited 3 workers he had helped before. One fixed air filters, one was a coder, and one worked with farming machines. "I have a plan," Daniel said. "I want to rebuild this colony's systems quietly, from the inside. We start with power, then food supply, then communication. But I can't do it alone." The others looked surprised. "Why? Would you help us?" One asked. Daniel answered, "Because I caused this. And because this colony deserves more." Mira stepped in. "He's not lying. I've seen what he can do. He wants to build something better. We can do it together." The 3 workers exchanged glances. Then, one by one, they nodded. For the next week, they worked in secret. Daniel led the team. He upgraded energy lines, replaced faulty chips, and rewrote small AI codes to run more efficiently. Mira managed supply routes and helped with deliveries, making sure no one saw the extra parts being used. The others handled tools, updates, and repairs. Slowly, the colony started to change. Lights stayed on longer. Water ran cleaner. Drones flew faster. The mood of the people shifted. Less fear, more hope. Tom watched all of this with wide eyes. One night, he asked his mother, "Is Daniel a hero?" Mira smiled. "He's trying to be." But not everything was safe. One evening, a patrol officer noticed a drone flying higher than allowed. It was one of the upgraded models Daniel had fixed. "Who made this?" the officer asked. Tom panicked and ran home. Mira and Daniel knew the colony's control system would start asking questions. That night, Daniel said, "We're running out of time. If the central system reports something strange to Earth HQ, they'll send someone. Then what do we do?" Mira asked. Daniel looked serious. "We finish what we started. We show them that people here are not weak. We don't need Earth watching over us. We need control over our own lives." Mira nodded. For the first time, she didn't see Daniel as a stranger or a CEO. She saw him as a partner, a fighter. Someone who wanted the same thing she did, a better life for the people. That night, as the stars shined through the dusty sky, Mira sat with Daniel on the roof of the small dome house. She looked out at the colony lights. "Do you think we can really change it?" she asked. Daniel smiled. "We already are." And in that quiet moment, Mira realized something powerful. It all began the night she opened her door to a man who looked lost. But now, she knew he had been found. The colony buzzed with quiet change. Lights worked without blinking, water flowed cleaner, and even the food tasted better. People whispered about the strange improvements. No one knew where the help was coming from. They didn't ask. They were just happy something good was finally happening. Inside her small home, Mira watched Daniel working on a damaged communication chip. He had become a part of her life so quickly, yet she still couldn't believe who he really was. Not just a visitor. Not just a helper, he was the man at the top. The one who had once sat in a tall office on Earth, now kneeling on her dusty floor, fixing broken machines with his bare hands. She placed a cup of warm tea next to him. "You never get tired?" she asked softly. Daniel smiled. "I do. But not from this. This feels right." Mira sat down beside him. "You could have gone back by now. You could have sent a message to Earth and returned to your world." "I could," Daniel said. "But I won't, not yet." "Why?" He looked at her, his voice calm. "Because I want to build something new, something better, not from an office. From here with people who live this life." Mira was silent. She stared at the steam rising from her tea. Then Daniel spoke again, this time with more purpose. "I have an offer for you." Mira looked up. "What kind of offer?" "A real one," he said. "Not a trick, not a promise with no meaning. I want to create a new system, one where workers have control, where machines serve people, not the other way around. I want to remove the old rules and start again." Mira blinked. "That's impossible." "No," Daniel said. "It's hard. Not impossible, but I can't do it alone. I need someone who understands this world. Someone strong, honest, and close to the people. I need you, Mira." Her eyes widened. "Me?" He nodded. "Yes, you know this colony better than I ever could. You know how people think, what they need. Together, we can make something that doesn't just help this place, but can be shared with other colonies too." Mira didn't know what to say. She had spent years just trying to survive. Now someone wanted her to lead change. "I'm just a worker," she said. "I never planned to lead anything." Daniel looked at her firmly. "That's exactly why you should." That night, Mira couldn't sleep. She walked outside, breathing the thin air as she looked up at the dark sky. Stars sparkled like distant fires, and she thought about her son, Tom. What kind of future would he have? Would he work in the same factory? Would he struggle the same way? She heard footsteps behind her. Daniel stood there, silent for a while. "You don't have to say yes right now," he said. "But time is moving fast. Earth will notice what we're doing soon." Mira turned toward him. "And then?" "Then they'll try to stop us." The next morning, Mira gathered with Daniel and their small group in a hidden underground room. It had once been a storage space, long forgotten by colony officials. Now it was filled with tools, screens, and quiet energy. Daniel pulled up a rough digital map of the colony. "We've already fixed power in sectors 3 and 5, he said. "Next is the main food storage. After that, we connect the local AI brain to our custom system." The coder Leon looked unsure. "Connecting our system could alert Earth Command. It might trigger a signal." Daniel nodded. "Yes, but we'll reroute the signal first. We'll make it look like regular maintenance. We only get one chance." Mira stepped forward. "Then we'll do it right. We've come too far to turn back." The team nodded, feeling strength in her voice. Over the next 2 days, the team worked non-stop. Mira helped transport small machines using her old delivery cart. Leon rewired the AI code to listen only to local voices. The others carried parts, hid wires, and fixed broken systems. Tom helped too, even though he was small. He ran messages between houses, carried tools, and kept watch when guards passed nearby. "Mama," he said one night, "is Daniel going to fix everything?" Mira knelt down and looked at him. "He's trying, but it's not just him. We're all helping." Tom smiled. I want to help more." "You already are," she said, hugging him tight. On the third night, the group gathered. Again, Daniel stood in front of the screen, showing the progress. "We're almost ready," he said. "When we connect the system tomorrow, this colony will no longer depend on Earth to survive." Mira stepped beside him. "And we won't stop here. If it works, we'll send the design to other colonies. Let them see there's a better way." The room was full of quiet excitement. For the first time, these workers felt like builders of something great. But outside, trouble was growing. An Earth-based technician had noticed unusual activity in the colony's signal reports. A repair signal was flagged too perfect, too clean. Reports were sent back to Mars Command. In one of the upper domes, a local officer named Brand received the alert. "Unapproved system changes," he muttered, frowning. "Someone's playing smart." He grabbed his helmet and started moving towards Sector 4. Back at Myra's home, Daniel was preparing the final code patch. Mira sat near him, her hands trembling slightly. "You sure this will work?" she asked. Daniel nodded. "It has to." She looked at him, voice soft. "What if they come for you?" He paused. "Then they come. But not before we finish what we started." Just then, Tom burst into the room. "Mama, a patrol officer is near the dome." Mira stood quickly. "We need to hide the tools, now." The team moved fast. The screen was turned off, parts hidden in crates, and the eye box covered with old blankets. Seconds later, Officer Brand knocked on the door. Mira opened it, forcing a tired smile. "Evening, sir." Brand looked inside, his eyes scanning the room. "We got reports of signal changes from this sector. You notice anything?" Mira shook her head. "Just a broken heater. Daniel's been helping fix it." Brand stepped in. Daniel stood calmly by the wall. "You new here?" Brand asked. "Just passing through," Daniel replied, voice steady. Brand looked around again, then turned back to Mira. "Keep an eye out. If something's wrong, report it." Mira nodded. "Of course." When he left, everyone exhaled in relief. Daniel looked at Mira and said, "We finish it tomorrow. No more hiding after that." Mira looked around the room at her team. They were tired, but ready. And in her heart, she knew they had started something that couldn't be stopped. The early morning in the Mars colony was quiet, but the air felt heavy with something new. The sky outside the dome had a deep orange glow. Inside her home, Mira stood near the table, watching Daniel go through the last set of codes. His fingers moved quickly, tapping each key with focus. "This is the final step," Daniel said without looking up. "Once I press this, the colony's systems will connect to our new AI. From now on, energy, food, and data will flow directly through our design, not from Earth control." Mira nodded slowly. "And Earth won't be able to block it?" Daniel paused, then looked at her. "Not easily. Our AI will respond only to local commands, from people here, from you." Mira looked at the small screen where a blinking symbol waited to turn green. "Are you sure we're ready?" she asked. Daniel gave a calm smile. "We may not be ready, but it's time." An hour later, inside the underground control room, Mira and the rest of the group gathered around the main screen. Leon, the coder, took her place beside Daniel. On another side, worker Juno held the power switch. Daniel turned to Mira. "You should do it." "You've earned it." Mira stepped forward, her hands steady. She pressed the key. The symbol turned green. A soft hum began to rise in the room. The new system came alive. Screens lit up with clean, stable energy lines. Old warning signs disappeared. The IA interface showed a soft blue screen with the word, "Online Local Control activated." They did it. The room stayed silent for a few seconds. Then Leon whispered, "It worked." Juno smiled. "We're running everything, on our own." Tom, who stood at the back, clapped his hands with joy. "Mama, you did it." Mira turned to the group. We all did it. Within 2 hours, changes started happening across the colony. Lights in the mining zone came on automatically. Farming drones moved in smooth patterns, no longer needing slow human commands. The water recycling plant, broken for months, started flowing again. Even the food station's ovens heated evenly. People looked around in surprise. Did something change? I thought these lights were broken. Who fixed the air vents? Word began to spread. Not loud, but quiet and fast. People whispered about a secret team. Some said it was a miracle. Others said it was Earth testing something new. But Mira and her group knew the truth. They had taken control. And they had done it together. Later that evening, Daniel sat with Mira on the roof of her dome house. The stars above were clear and close. We're going to need more people, he said. People we can trust. Other colony leaders, engineers, builders, Mira agreed. We need to share this system. If we stay quiet, Earth will try to take it back. Daniel nodded. That's the next step. We show others they can run their own systems. We give them the tools. Just then, a small red light blinked on Daniel's COM device. He tapped it. A warning appeared. Earth command detected system. Break. Signal report sent. Response team en route. Daniel's face became serious. They know, he said. Back in the underground room. The group met again. Daniel showed them the message. Earth has seen the system break. They're sending someone to investigate. Maybe more than one. Leon frowned. How long? Maybe a few days. Maybe hours. Juno stood. What do we do now? Mira stepped forward, her voice steady. We do what we've been doing. We stay one step ahead. If they come with questions, we answer smart. If they come with force, we protect what we've built. The team nodded. Daniel added, they won't expect the people to be organized. That's our strength. They split into teams. Juno and Leon went to protect the main AI hub, adding security layers and backup systems. Mira and Daniel moved through the colony, visiting trusted workers. They explained the truth, not everything, but enough to let people know this was real and worth protecting. Some workers were scared, others were angry, but most were ready. We've been waiting for a reason to stand, one said. Now we have it. By the next day, the colony was no longer just a workplace. It had become a network of people connected by purpose. Messages were passed through coded signals. Tools were moved underground. Key machines were placed under watch. And Mira? She stood in the center of it all, guiding others, calming fears, giving orders. Daniel watched her with quiet pride. You were made for this, he said. Mira shook her head with a small smile. I was made to survive. This, I'm still learning. But you're doing it, Daniel said. That night, a large transport ship landed in the outer docking zone. 4 officers stepped out, wearing Earth Command uniforms. One of them was the same officer from earlier brand, but now he wasn't alone. They entered the colony, scanning with smart glasses, watching for any strange movement. Inside the control room, Leon whispered, "They're here." Daniel replied, "Let them walk, let them watch. But don't let them inside the eye chamber." The officers started asking questions. Why are your lights stable now? Who authorized the system changes? Why is there no communication? Signal from your AI hub? Mira met them at the main office. She spoke clearly, firmly. We repaired broken systems using old colony instructions. No outside help. The people worked together. Officer Brand narrowed his eyes. Your records don't match. Mira shrugged. Old records often don't, but the systems are working now. Check them yourself. The officers didn't find proof of anything illegal. Everything was working. Better than before. Still, Brand knew something was hidden. This isn't over, he said. Mira looked him in the eyes. We know. That night, the team gathered once again. Daniel looked around at the tired but proud faces. They'll come back, he said. With more people, maybe even try to shut it all down. Mira stood beside him. Let them come. We have something. They don't. What's that? Tom asked from his corner. She smiled at her son, each other. The mood inside the colony had changed. People were working harder, but with purpose. They cleaned the domes, repaired old machines, and helped one another with small tasks. The silent hope that once lived in people's hearts was now becoming action, but danger was growing fast. 3 days after the Earth officers arrived, another message flashed across Daniel's device. Second response team departed from Earth. Full system inspection ordered. Daniel looked at Mira. This time, they won't come with questions. They'll come with orders and maybe soldiers. Mira's face tightened. Then we protect what we've built. We won't give it up. Daniel nodded. But we need a plan, a real one. That night, Daniel, Mira, and the team met inside the AI control room. Leon pulled up a live signal feed. A large Earthship was already halfway to Mars. It carried officers, engineers, and a security team. They'll be here in 2 days, Leon said. Juno frowned. They'll shut down our AI the moment they get here, then take over everything. Mira stood up. No, we won't let them. We need to move the AI core. Hide it, Daniel agreed. And we need to prepare the colony. Not for a fight, but for unity. We must stand as one voice. Early the next morning, Mira called a meeting with the colony workers. Dozens came, filling the old supply hall. Some sat on crates. Others stood with arms crossed, waiting to hear what was happening. Mira stepped forward. She didn't use big words. She didn't need to. You know, things have changed, she said. Better food, better lights, more water. That's not a gift from Earth. That's because of us. We fixed it, together. The crowd murmured in agreement. She continued. But now Earth is sending people to take back control, to erase the progress we've made. They say we aren't ready to lead ourselves. I say they're wrong. Someone from the crowd shouted. So what do we do? Mira's voice stayed strong. We stand together. If they ask questions, we answer the same. If they try to take our AI, we don't show them where it is. If they try to break our spirit, we hold the line. A silence followed, then clapping, then cheering. Loud, strong, real. Daniel stood at the back, his arms crossed, a proud smile on his face. This wasn't his movement anymore. It was Mira's. It was the people's. That night, the team moved the AI core to an old underground storage chamber. The chamber was deep and covered by layers of rock and broken wires. Perfect. For hiding, Leon reprogrammed the outer sensors. If anyone scans this place, it'll look like it's full of rusted parts. Mira placed her hand on the metal shell of the AI unit. Stay strong, she whispered. Daniel added a backup control panel inside Mira's house. Only she and Leon could use it. The Earthship landed 2 days later. It was large, dark gray, and full of authority. Officers marched out in clean uniforms, followed by engineers with tools and scanners. A man named Commander Rowan led the team. His face was sharp, his eyes cold. He met Mira at the main gate. I'm here for a full inspection, he said. We've received strange reports. Mira kept her face calm. You'll find the colony is functioning well, better than ever. Rowan didn't smile. We'll see. Over the next few hours, the Earth team moved through the colony. They scanned wires, checked systems, and questioned workers. But every answer was the same. We fixed it ourselves. No outside help, just repairs. Commander Rowan wasn't convinced. He walked to the energy station and looked at the perfect power readings. This level of performance isn't possible for a broken-down colony, he said. Daniel stood beside him, wearing old worker clothes. Maybe it's time Earth stops underestimating us. Rowan turned to him. And who are you? Daniel gave a small smile. a friend of the colony. That night, Rowan called a private meeting with his team. There's something here they're hiding. Find it. We take control in 24 hours if they don't cooperate. The message was sent to Earth. Colony shows signs of unauthorized upgrades. Possible local AI control. Prepare override signal. Mira met with her team in secret. They're getting ready to shut us down, she said. We have one chance to protect everything. Daniel stepped forward. We need to send the truth to other colonies. Show them what we've built. If Earth tries to erase us, the others will speak up. Leon added, I can send a silent broadcast through the old satellite tower. No one will detect it for at least a day. Juno asked, what do we send? Mira answered, the truth. Our power readings, water output, food levels, and a message from us, from the people. By midnight, the signal was ready. Mira stood in front of a small camera. My name is Myra. I'm a worker, a mother, and a citizen of Mars. For years, we survived under broken systems. But we fixed them ourselves. Not with Earth's help, but with each other. Now they want to take it back. We say no. Not with anger, not with hate, but with unity. We can build better. Together. The message was sent. The next morning, Commander Rowan returned with a final order. We're taking control now. Show us your I unit or face consequences. Mira looked at him, standing tall. No, Rowan raised a hand. Then we begin force. Inspection. But just then, a ping echoed on his device. Then another. And another. Messages from other colonies started arriving. We saw your message. We want the same for our people. Don't silence them. Rowan stared at the screen. His face changed. His orders were no longer simple. The world was watching now. Daniel leaned in. You can't hide the truth anymore. That night, the colony was quiet again, but in a different way. No patrols, no questions, just people sitting together, smiling, sharing food and stories. Inside her home, Mira watched Tom sleep, then sat beside Daniel near the heater. We didn't fight with weapons, she said, but we still won. Daniel nodded, because we stood as one. Mira looked outside. What happens next? Daniel replied softly. Now, we build. The red sun of Mars rose slowly over the dusty horizon. For the first time in many years, the colony woke up without fear. No one rushed to fix broken pipes. No one whispered about food shortage or power loss. People simply walked outside, breathing, in the thin but fresh air of their hard-earned peace. Inside her small home, Mira stood at the window, holding a cup of warm tea. Her son Tom was still sleeping. The boy had laughed so much the night before, it almost didn't feel real. Mira smiled. It felt like a dream, but it was real, because they had made it real. The door creaked open behind her. Daniel stepped in quietly, brushing the dust off his jacket. I just came from the power station, he said. Everything's stable. Number. Signs of shutdown orders. Myra nodded. So Earth backed off? Daniel sat down. For now, your message reached 8 colonies. 4 already responded with support. The others are still silent, but they know now. Earth can't act in secret anymore. Mira sat across from him. You were right. This wasn't just about surviving. It was about showing we can lead ourselves. Daniel gave her a kind smile. I was just passing through. You're the one who stayed. You're the one they listened to. Later that morning, the entire colony gathered in the old workshop hall. The dusty banners from Earth were gone. In their place was a simple screen showing messages from other Martian colonies. People looked at the names with excitement. One message from Colony G17 read, we want to build a shared power grid. Mira, can your engineers help us? Another said, teach us how to fix the old AI units. We want to learn from your team. Mira looked at Leon and Juno. Both smiled and nodded. They had work to do, but it was good work, future work. Daniel stood in front of the crowd. He didn't look like a stranger anymore. His voice was calm but full of hope. We have a chance to lead not just this colony, but all of Mars. Earth will still watch. They may not always agree, but if we work together, if we help other colonies the way we helped each other, they won't be able to stop us. A strong cheer followed. Someone in the back shouted, "So who's in charge now?" All eyes turned to Myra. She stood slowly, surprised. "I'm not a leader," she said. "I'm just a mom who didn't give up." Daniel stepped beside her. "That's exactly what a leader is." The people clapped, some laughed, some even wiped their eyes. Days passed, then weeks. Work crews began building new solar panels on the outer hills. They weren't just for the colony, they were part of the shared power network with other settlements. Leon taught engineers from Colony G17 how to reboot their old AI systems. Juno worked on building stronger communication links between domes. Tom started going to school again, and this time the lessons weren't just about mining or survival. Kids learned about science, leadership, and how to fix systems instead of waiting for Earth. Mira still worked every day cleaning, cooking, checking the water flow, but something inside her had changed. She no longer felt tired from survival. She felt alive with purpose. One evening, Daniel called Mira to the rooftop. He pointed to the stars. A new satellite glowed near the edge of the sky. "That's from Colony D2, he said. "They're sending us climate data so we can build better greenhouses." Mira looked at him. "It feels like we've built something big. But it started with something small." Daniel smiled. "It started with you letting a stranger sleep on your floor," Mira laughed. "You didn't look like a CEO that night." Daniel looked thoughtful. "I didn't feel like one either. I had left Earth because I didn't believe in the system anymore. But you showed me that something better was still possible." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the sky. Then Mira asked, "What now? Will you go back to Earth?" Daniel shook his head. "Not yet. Maybe not ever. I want to help build this." "For real?" Mira looked at him and nodded. "Then stay. Not as a visitor, as one of us." Months later, Earth sent another message, but this time, it was different. To Mars Colony, E49. "We acknowledge the recent improvements and cooperation between settlements. Earth Command approves continuation of your autonomous systems under local leadership review. Please send monthly updates and safety logs." Mira read the message aloud to the people. The crowd cheered. This wasn't just survival anymore. It was respect. Daniel added, "They didn't give us permission. They recognized our success." That night, a small celebration took place. Tables were set up in the central dome. Music played from old speakers. Children danced, and older workers smiled like they hadn't in years. Tom ran up to Mira. "Mom, Juno says I can help with the water station tomorrow." Mira hugged him. "That's great. You're becoming a real part of the team." Daniel stood nearby, talking with Leon and some visitors from another colony. He looked happy, relaxed like a man who had finally found his place. Mira joined him, holding a warm drink. "You know," she said, "I thought everything was falling apart when you first arrived." Daniel chuckled. "And I thought I'd be gone in a day. But look at us now," she said. He raised his cup. "To second chances." Mira clinked her cup with his. "And new beginnings." As the stars glowed above and soft laughter filled the dome, the colony stood stronger than ever. They were no longer forgotten workers waiting for help. They were builders of their own future. And it all began with one night, one stranger, and one woman brave enough to open her door.